Hello, and welcome to the International Compliance Training Academy Asia Update. My name's Robin Lee. I'm here with Sam Gibbins, our Sales and Marketing Director, and we'd like to provide you guys with an update as to what's going on here within the Asia region. So, to kick it off, Sam, what exactly has been happening with ICTA over the past few months?
Well, hi there, Robin. The last few months for us have been really very busy. After about 4 years of being based in the Monetary Authority of Singapore building here, we moved to a new office, which, as you can see here, is about 50% bigger than our previous premises. This is great for us, speaks volumes about the quantity and the size of business we're doing, not only here in Singapore, but also around the region. In terms of the business side for us, enrolments have been very strong over the past 2 years, but particularly this year. Here in Singapore, we had record numbers on our FICS diploma courses. We've had record numbers in Malaysia, and a real uptake of demand also from Australia and also from Hong Kong. A real big change that we're seeing at the moment is the recalibration of the FICS standards here in Singapore. That's something we'll talk about a little bit later. Linked to that is the winning of the FICS Inspiring Educator Award. We have that here. It might be a little bit difficult to see, but this is only the second time the award's been given out here in Singapore, and we have been given the FICS Inspiring Educator Award for 2013. As a business that's only been in the region for 5 years, really this is something we're very, very proud of, and shows our commitment not only here to Singapore but also to further education. Additionally, at the beginning of 2013 we were awarded a 4-year licence by the Council for Private Education, which is a great achievement for us and really sets us permanently here in Singapore for the next few years.
Right. So let's go back to this here, this FICS Inspiring Educator Award. It's a fantastic achievement. With regards to the financial industry competency standards that you mentioned, have there been any other news relating to that?
Yeah, so as mentioned, the FICS competency standards have been recalibrated. What that means is, after a period of around 5 years of teaching to them, they've been slightly modified and updated. The standards were deemed to be very good in terms of their fit for purpose, but needed to be realigned this year. The courses will change slightly in line with that, and we're very happy to have been involved not only with the recalibration, but also the development of a new course, which will be the Foundation Certificate in Compliance, and also the update to the existing courses which we're currently running. The key difference really with the Foundation Certificate will be the addition of that entry-level program for compliance practitioners. Instead of going in straight at diploma level, people will be able to enter the market at a more junior pace, do that qualification first, and then advance through the tiered system.
So what impact overall will this have on courses offered for future delegates who may be looking to enroll?
Really the key change will be eligibility.
Okay.
Under the current standards, people can enrol straight onto a diploma level qualification. When the FICS standards are recalibrated, there will be 4 new levels, and level 1 will be a foundation certificate. For individuals who are new to this area or possess less than 3 years experience in financial services, they will not be eligible to enrol on a diploma. Those people will need to start with a foundation certificate, and then after they've done that, advance to a diploma level. So that is a big change in terms of the way the system is structured. It gives people a chance to set off on a lower level course before they do a full academic diploma. A key change for us in line with that is the fact that people need to start at a different level. The last intake where we will be running the current diploma system will be currently rolling in around August this year. So starting in October, the last FICS level 4 and 5 diplomas will commence. As of next year, students will have to do a foundation certificate.
Is there any way that a student could bypass that foundation certificate?
It seems very unlikely. It looks that in the current process, as of next year, students will have to do that. The only way of getting around that would be to enrol on the current intake with us. Students therefore will be able to do a diploma now and will be remapped into the new standards at diploma level. So if you have currently less than 3 years experience, you can enrol on a diploma now and miss the foundation course in the future.
So I guess what you're getting at is that you either have 3 years worth of experience or you do the foundation certificate, and then you can only go on to do the regular diploma.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, it ties into other international standards. It makes it a little bit of a longer process for some people. So the only way, as you said, of avoiding that is really to do a diploma now, or in the future you'll have to start with a foundation cert.
Okay. Now let's talk about Asia in general. What changes have you seen with regards to the overall compliance environment?
I think globally there's been a lot of change in regulation in the last few years, and that impact has also been felt here in Asia. Following on in the beginning of 2012, the Financial Action Task Force updating their 40+9 recommendations to just 40, countries here have really followed on and made other major implementations. Hong Kong released their anti-money laundering ordinance and put that into force, and that's already led to a number of prosecutions there. Singapore has updated its provisions so that tax evasion is now a predicate offence for money laundering, which is a big change here. That came in the summer of this year and was the first time it's been done. As you know, Singapore's often been lauded as a place that tax evaders may come to, and this change in the law really is a big provision here. Looking at places such as Malaysia, there's been, for the first time in really the last 2 decades, prosecutions of individuals for insider trading and money laundering offences. So it's been a big change in terms of governments here being seen to be cracking down on these individual offences. Malaysia also this year updated its Capital Markets and Services Act. There was a key difference there in terms of the change for listed and unlisted products. However, it's worth noting that although globally there's been a big emphasis on OTC derivatives, Malaysia's not looking at that currently as a key criteria for them. With the UK Bribery Act, FATCA, the Financial Action Task Force changes, and guideline change from IOSCO regarding derivatives trading, there's been a key change really globally in the way people are looking at these regulations. The demand for practitioners in these fields is skyrocketing. Recent statistics coming out from global banking are that they're hiring people in droves to work in compliance and anti-money laundering, and Asia is exactly the same. So the recent trend of change in regulation and making things a little bit stricter certainly seems here to stay.
So it sounds like it ties in pretty significantly. I mean, it makes sense, right? As we've become more globalized, that any change in Asia is definitely going to reflect on the rest of the world. Would you say, or?
I'd say it's a key thing we're teaching now really for our students, is that when regulations change in a country or guidelines change, there is a knock-on impact. You're not just looking at the change in one country where you might be based, but also other places where you have operations. So really the last couple of years, particularly if you look at the US, very transboundary in nature in terms of what they're pursuing and what they're prosecuting. A Malaysian was arrested and charged last year in Australia for money laundering, and actually has been sent back to Hong Kong through gambling problems he had, and the same with Hong Kong prosecuting people from mainland China for money laundering. This is very transboundary in nature and clearly global. Big impacts of other regulators that have occurred in Asia and impact us include things like the UK, the changing of the Financial Service Authority. So breaking that into the Financial Conduct Authority and the Prudential Regulatory Authority under the Bank of England. Of course, Bank of England has its own new governor in Mark Carney this year, and there's already been some changes in terms of the way the Bank of England is functioning with the Monetary Policy Committee. All of those changes have impact over here. If you look at it and think they don't, then you might be wrong. The recent UK parliamentary report highlighted key failings with the approved persons regime. That's a regime that's been lauded for a number of years as a bench setter, as sort of a key mark for the UK in terms of how you're accrediting people for roles. That system has been seen to be somewhat of a failure. Hasn't been tight enough in weeding out people, so that is going to be a big change as well for Europe. Not only that, that's tied into accreditation for people. How are people being deemed to be senior enough and well trained enough for their roles, and that's where organisations like us come in.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. Specifically, you talked about these global changes and how it seems that regulation seems to be becoming increasingly more intense. What impact has this had specifically on the courses that you offer across the region?
I think something that's always been very important for the ICA, and of course us here at ICTA, is keeping what we do relevant. It has to remain updated, it has to remain useful for people, it has to be present. There's just a huge sea of change at the moment coming on the regulatory front, and with things to do with money laundering, terrorist financing and financial crime. We have to make sure we're updating and constantly changing our work. We have people both here in Asia and also in the UK and other jurisdictions who update manuals for us, who update what we're teaching, who look at our slides, make sure it stays relevant. The main theory and the main crux of the courses may remain the same, but we will be changing and updating and amending what we do in terms of talking around case studies. Key for us has always been the face-to-face teaching element, and that's where we can be set apart from other global training providers, because we can take something that would have happened this morning and we can talk about it in our class this evening. We can update students instantly using new technology and tell them exactly what's happening. That is important for us to remain credible and remain a force in the industry. In terms of courses being impacted by things that may be outside of our control, of course here in Singapore the changes to the FICS standards, that's a key shift for us. Again, we've been heavily involved with that, as we have been for the last 5 years, and that's great for us. We're working to make sure that standards are updated, our courses are updated, and so what we're teaching is the most useful for our students.
Okay, and you mentioned a great word earlier, technology. I guess that's increasingly becoming a huge buzzword within the industry. So how is technology changing the teaching environment for both students and educators such as yourself? And what changes could we expect to see from ICTA in the future?
Technology is viewed very differently by different people. It can be viewed as something that's a great tool and can benefit people for the future. Some people see it as a drawback, something slightly dangerous. Some people don't like change. For us, we've tried to embrace technology and really move things forward. The use of the iPad mini, for example, here in Singapore, has allowed us to get information to people at a much, much faster rate than ever before. We can use technology to disseminate key ideas, case studies, topics to people straight away. People can follow slides live as we're presenting in the workshop. We can give people instant updates and notifications by posting out to people. For us as educators, that's also been fantastic. We can amend what we're doing to make it more relevant for people. Moving away from certain old platforms we would use for presenting onto newer, fresher, more interactive ideas, really trying to engage with our key audience. We've always worked across the integrated learning approach. Technology is helping us reinforce this. It's not the only thing we use for our teaching, but it's been a fundamental part. Using the iPad mini and iTunes University has really allowed us to be much more efficient and streamlined in our interactions with our delegates and also their interaction with us, not to mention their key interaction with each other and their chance to network and speak to people in their industry. We are looking at ways of advancing this further through this year and also next year, so a key change will be the introduction of iBooks textbooks, which is another product used on the Apple platform. It's a very, very interactive, engaging, up-to-date bit of software that can really help us change the way we're providing information to people. Very exciting, means obviously more work on our end, but we're here to provide the best benefits to the students, and this really is helping us do that greatly.
Wow. Stay tuned for iBooks textbooks in the pipeline. Okay, and what do you see on the horizon for the remainder of 2013 for ICTA?
There are a few real key areas that we're working on. One, of course, is the update to the FICS standards, amending our courses and writing the foundation programme. There's actually a key milestone at the end of next week for that, and so there'll be lots of information coming out in the next really 6 to 9 months around the standards there. In Malaysia, we have for the last 2 years run the anti-money laundering and terrorist financing courses. That suite will be enhanced over the course of the next 9 months and will be doubled. We'll be adding the compliance certification courses as well. So we'll be running compliance certifications for finance in Malaysia. We're also increasing the scope and the number of courses in Hong Kong. Further to the increase in the courses we do generally on the public side and the advanced technology, we're seeing really a great increase in the number of in-house requests coming for training, and at very varied levels, from diplomas all the way down to 2-hour sessions where we talk about due diligence or KYC profiling. So that's been great for us at ICTA, for our exposure and also for our own development. The other thing to note is just the sort of volume of students coming through. The courses now are doing very well, and the numbers are very, very high, which has led to us obviously firstly moving office and taking on new staff, which is a good problem for any business to have. So I think the remainder of the year looks very strong going into next year. Very exciting in terms of the changes, not only on the technology side but the courses side, and also what we're offering and the range of products coming out through the region.
Excellent, excellent. Sam, thank you very much for your time, and we will see you in a future video. Thank you.